Well, ahead of the Motilal Oswal 13th Annual Global Investor Conference on Monday, we focus on the agri space. We have with us in the studio Niket Shah, the VP of Research of Motilal Oswal Institutional Equities, who joins us in the studio. And also we are joined by Mayank Singhal, the MD and CEO of PI Industries, who join us. Good day, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining in. Niket, before we get to talking about PI Industries, wanted to ask you your sense of, the monsoons, how has it panned out? How would you play this entire monsoon theme? If you could give us some stocks that you're positive on as well.
So I think we've seen early part of monsoon being extremely strong, and now we've seen kind of monsoon kind of coming into deficit. South has seen lesser rainfall as compared to North, and some companies which are more focused on North have done extremely well. So lights of Escorts, which have very high concentration in North of India, have done extremely well in spite of monsoon being weaker in the South part of India.
Okay.
I think overall the monsoon, from a corporate perspective, the numbers might not plan up so great because of GST issues. Otherwise, I think some of the companies in the agrochemical space, as well as seeds companies, specifically to cotton, has done extremely well this year, because we've seen more than 20% kind of growth in cotton acreages. So companies like Kaveri have done extremely well. So I think we continue to remain extremely excited on this space from a 3 to 5 year perspective.
Okay. Well, Mayank Mayank Singhal, the Managing Director and CEO of PI Industries, is also with us. Mayank, what has been the experience at PI? The first quarter numbers were not much to write home about. You saw a dip in revenues and in EBITDA. What were the reasons for that dip, and how is the rest of the year looking?
Yes, as earlier mentioned, good afternoon. As earlier mentioned, the last quarter, the company had the GST issues, which we were, again, the restocking of that has taken place. And our CSM business, which is about our export business, was very much in line as I defined earlier. We have now seen some of these things pick up, but as we see the monsoons of the south shape up, the outcomes of this will be better known by the end of October.
Okay, but you would know what has been the post-GST rebound. At least you will have some idea of, we are almost 2/3 into the second quarter. Will revenues be flat? Will they be better year on year?
Well, we expect, depending on how the seasons move, because September is a critical month, and September is a critical month for the South Zone.
All right, Mr. Singhal, thanks so much, sir, for joining in. There's a lot of buzz in the market, so I wanted to ask you about how is your balance sheet looking? Firstly, what is the cash that you have in the books? And I believe there's an acquisition on the cards. Could you tell us, are we likely to see an acquisition get closed out in the near future in FY18?
Well, as mentioned earlier, we are evaluating some options in the CSM space into the chemical and the fine chemical area.
Right. But what could be the size of that acquisition? You have told us before, yes, you're evaluating that. What level have you reached? And if you could tell us what is the size of that acquisition as well, and also ask you what's the cash in your books?
Well, frankly, right now we are in the middle of discussions, so I would not like to put a specific number to it.
But you should be making a decision in this quarter, or would it spill over into next quarter?
It will probably move to the next quarter.
Actually, all right, Mr. Singhal, we have Niket as well, who's with us in the studio. Niket, do you want to throw a couple of questions to management?
Afternoon, Mr. Singhal. Just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. One on the various tie-ups that you've done recently with BASF, with Kumai. What kind of growth are you looking from some of these tie-ups over a period of next 2 to 3 years?
Yes, as we've done a few tie-ups with BASF, where we've looked at augmenting our portfolio with new generation fungicides. Obviously, this is the first year that we'll be launching these products, but over the next 2 to 3 years, they should be adding substantial revenue to the company's top line. Okay,
what is substantial, Mr. Singhal? If you can give some ballpark numbers.
No, they would be a certain double-digit percentage of the revenue.
Oh. All right, Mr. Singhal, let's keep things a little, simple now. For FY18, last year you did single-digit growth. First quarter, we have not seen any growth, or we've seen a degrowth, in fact. For FY18, what kind of a revenue number are you looking at? And also, I believe, some of your products, some competitors have launched the generic versions. So could that be compression of margins?
No, when I look at, see, we have two engines, but the export part of the business, as we said, is already looking at the second half of the year,
Okay.
where the revenues are expected to shape up because which are as per expectations.
Okay.
And we expect the AgChem business to shape up. And as far as we look at some of the generic molecules which have come into place, they were already there last year. More competitors and products have come in. But as far as PI goes, we are happy with the performance of our product, one of our key products, Nominee Gold. And so that's where we are with it right now.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Mayank Singhal. Well, a final question to you, Niket. What kind of stocks will benefit two good monsoons in a row?
I think, when you look at the agri space, it's important to bifurcate into three different segments. One is seeds, agrochemical, and fertilizers. I think after 2 years of good monsoons, I think one is that agrochemical will continue to do well over a period of next 2 to 3 years. Seeds, I think one has to really understand crop patterns, which crop will going to do well next year. So I think last year it was very evident that cotton will do extremely well. This year it looks like corn is going to do extremely well next year. So I think, more companies like Monsanto will do extremely well, which have very large amount of revenues coming from corn businesses. And we continue to like Escorts, over a period of 3 to 5 years.
All right. Thank you very much for dropping by. All right. That's a view from Motilal Oswal. We have to take a break. We are coming back and getting you a word from Kumar Mangalam Birla.